Hello everyone watching at home, welcome to Adelaide Eternal. We're bringing you the coverage of the Adelaide Eternal Highlander Cup for 2019. I am Sarven McLinton. In the booth with me is Drew Carter.
Hello everyone.
So we're going to have an interesting match up here, which is actually a mirror match. We have Michael Billinghurst on the right on Kespile and Will Hoskin on the left on Kespile. Let's have a quick look at Michael's list. So Michael's travelled all the way from Melbourne for this event. For this event, we have a Mox for first. So this is a Mox Emerald. So we have a number of interstate travellers coming to throw down in the gauntlet, ready to take home the prize.
Yeah, Michael's had some strong finishes with Grixis control this deck, so he'll be looking to do well. Whereas Will is like returning to Magic after a bit of time off, and he's picked up the tier 1 deck. So
it's a good call.
Yeah.
It's a good call. Both of these lists will look very, very similar. And it's all about those tiny, tiny little differences, one card here and there, that actually help break the mirror. And you'll note that looking at Michael's list, he's got black Planeswalkers in the form of Liliana of the Veil in addition to the other Liliana. And then if you look at Will's list, he's got instead Chandra Torch of Defiance and Ashiok. So the difference in Planeswalkers can often come up a lot in the post-sideboard where people have Pyroblasts and Chandra can't be Pyroblasted, but Liliana of the Veil can't be Pyroblasted. But Liliana of the Veil forces a control deck into a mid-range strategy where they want to empty their hand so that they get value from the plus, whereas Chandra Torch of Defiance ends up flipping cards off the top and they're counterspells, so you exile them for 2 down. So they're both like interesting choices that are good in different situations, and it's going to be interesting to see how they turn out in this matchup.
Yeah, something very interesting to me as well in Michael's list is that we talk about Melbourne points, where they have like the Dig Through Time, the Mana Drain, Force of Will, and so on. But he's cut Force of Will for, I believe, for Caracas.
Yeah, so this is something that has happened occasionally with people who either hate Force of Will or hate losing out on value. So sometimes people go, oh, I got these 7 points, and but Force of Will is the worst one of these points, I don't like it. And this is a really, really cool meta call from Michael. So he's cut the card disadvantage of Force of Will. He's put in Caracas as a hedge against basically the weak matchups. So when someone does something absolutely busted before you can interact with them, your opponent's on the play and they play some broken mana and then they reanimate a creature really quickly by turn 2, and you kind of go, didn't have my, I don't have Spell Pierce, and my counterspells come online from turn 2, and my hand disruption couldn't interact with this. Caracas just saves your butt.
Yeah, it's really good against mid-range. Some aggro, like the We Can Be Heroes deck, Dark Depths tokens, and
Thalia, Tasiga. Like, there's so many threats in this format that are legendary, aren't they?
Yeah, Tasiga's in Will's list, so that's relevant. Although Will, I think he's going to depend on his Planeswalkers. It hits Kess, it hits Tasiga and Cleek. That's the only targets in Will's list, but yeah.
There's also the other side of the equation, which is Michael can go end of your turn, flash in, click, look at your hand, okay, sure, and then I'll play Caracas and I'll bounce my click and then I'll do it again in your main phase, in your draw phase. Like, actually locking people out from click and Venser was the reason why Caracas ended up earning its point in the oldie days.
Yeah, I suppose he can save his own legends from spot removal or sweepers as well, which is good.
So it'll be interesting to see how these mirror cards kind of come down. So on Will's list, those differences were Ashiok, Chandra, and in the sideboard, he's also got things like Back to Basics alongside the Blood Moons. Now, often Back to Basics isn't great when you're a 3-color deck, but sometimes you just want to catch those decks that, either don't respect it or they fold to it, like lands decks and the like. And also he's got cards like Gurmag Angler. Actually, wait, both of them have Gurmag Angler. Gurmag Angler is a piece of tech that Beckett Wolf's been rocking for quite a bit, and it's just big. It's just a Tarmogoyf. Like, it's got keyword big. That's it.
Big fish.
Shall we go down to the match? So we're getting a look at Michael's hand here. So he's got Electrolyze, Fire and Ice, some lands, which is perfectly fine. And on Will's hand, he's got Baleful Strix. So these are Jace. Yeah, these are hands where you're like, yeah, we're not going to do anything for the first couple of turns, so being able to cycle through and being able to gain small amounts of card advantage here and there is how you win a grindy control mirror.
And you talk about a mirror, they've had mirror openings as well.
It's so true.
Making sure you hit your land drops is very important. So JVP and Fire Ice on the other side will help to ensure that.
This also forces things like tap outs, where you go, okay, Will baits out a main phase Fire and Ice on the Jace Vryn's Prodigy in order to make sure it doesn't activate once, but then his plan was to play Ashiok or something, some kind of really scary threat that Michael wouldn't be prepared for. So Michael wisely just passes the turn and knows he can do this at the end of Will's turn.
So yeah, that tells he's got maybe a counterspell, you think?
Yeah, it's mainly because he doesn't want to get wrecked by a turn 3 Planeswalker, because that's one of the ways you die in the control mirror, to the opponent who's on the play and goes turn 3 Planeswalker and you didn't have the opportunity to interact with it.
Whereas I really respect the JVP, like the loot is incredibly powerful in fixing your hand early. Oh, there you go. He had another answer for it.
Yep, and this is one of the other ways that you can win your control mirror, which is to leverage cards that actually aren't good. So in the mirror, Fatal Push is just not a very good card, but if you're able to kill a creature land with it or kill a Jace Vryn's Prodigy, something like that, it's actually really, really useful to be able to leverage cards that otherwise had no value. So this was an upkeep. So upkeep Fatal Push gets a... It was upkeep, right? Yeah, and then it was a loot, and then...
It was in response to the loot, the Fatal Push.
And that way the mana drain mana wasn't actually put to any use, but...
Oh, third removal spell. Oh, he really wants to keep this... Whoa, getting rid of Jace to keep the little Jace is a big play. I would have let the Jace die to the second removal spell, because tapping out for drain in your own turn is not ideal use of drain.
The main thing there was... Will was planning around, what if I don't draw a fourth land? Because if he was struggling to hit that third one. If he didn't draw the fourth land, it would have been backbreaking to have not protected your Planeswalker. The Planeswalker dies, then you don't have the opening to play the Jace, and it feels really, really bad.
Okay.
So I can see why he made that play. And, he would have been punished if he, draws a land and goes, oh no, I wanted to play the Jace.
Whereas he
did draw the land.
I would sit on drain, even if it cost me land drops. Because you get the mana back if you drain their main phase spell or whatever.
Yeah, this is a slugfest. So slugfests happen when you have two control decks and it's all about who blinks first. Once someone blinks, it's about tap out. You just tap out, you keep doing work, and the other person has to either answer that or they have to respond with their own big piece of value. So it's like dig through time. Then I'm going to dig through time. Then I'm going to play a Planeswalker. Then I'm going to play a Planeswalker. Or you go, here's a Planeswalker. I answer your Planeswalker, and here's another Planeswalker. I answer that Planeswalker. So yeah, it's we're basically in the slugfest, which usually only happens from turn 7 onwards when someone misses a land drop and blinks. But instead, Will forced this mode of the game by doing it on turn 2 with the Jace Vryn's Prodigy. And it just happened to line up that Michael had, 3 or 4 removal spells, and one of them didn't get through.
And Will had all the counter magic to fill his bin for the dig through time. So I can understand his plan now, like filling that bin for the dig through time. What does he hope to get from the dig?
Well, Force of Will's gone, so you're basically shields down. So like you can't say dig for Force of Will and then make sure that I don't get your opponent playing Jace Mind Sculptor or something. So we'll see whether or not... Okay, this is Search for Azcanta, which is in the main deck. There's once it's resolved, there's no answers for it at all in Caspal Mirrors. So Search for Azcanta in the game 1 is often a really, really good Mirror Breaker card. In game 2, it's pretty mediocre because it often gets Pyroblasted. Yeah,
and I think Will's definitely ahead with the card advantage from Dig and with the JVP flipped to flash back the Dig at some point. That Search isn't going to... it could flip. Not next turn, but the turn after.
Yeah, there's a fetch land, so he should be able to flip it in his upkeep if he doesn't mind binning whatever the card is that he looks at.
But it would have been beautiful for Michael to slam.
Sorry, 7. Yeah, sorry, I saw 5, and for some reason,
it would have been great if Michael could have jammed like a 4 drop or something big rather than just the 2 drop in Search. But that's okay. We're back to the parry and thrust of keeping mana open maybe now, right?
Yeah, because sometimes you get punished for not keeping mana open and your opponent plays Jace the Mind Sculptor, but when you don't get punished, you feel like a genius. You're just yeah, always had it.
I think the cards in hand are quite low now as well. They've only got... Michael might have 2 or 3, 4.
So that was a scry of the, or surveil of the creeping tar pit. Creeping tar pit. Now, creeping tar pit is normally amazing in control mirrors. However, Michael's correctly recognised that he already has a wandering fumarole, and he's got a field of ruin for the opposing wandering fumarole. He's not going to be able to fire up 2 creature lands. So having one and being able to draw a different card other than a land is always nice.
And I think he's elected his role as not the beatdown. He wants to play control with the search and get recurring value out of that, rather than just beating down, because Will's on 19. It's going to take a long time for Tarpit to get there on its own.
Yes.
So he's elected to go for the control role instead.
Yeah, and that Jace Prodigy is up to 8 loyalty now. And Jace Prodigy on the other side, the non... Oh, there's a creeping tar pit, but the Field of Ruin is there. On the non-loot side, is actually pretty poor, right? Up, does literally nothing in the control mirror. It's really there for those, creature matchups where you just go, look, I'm holding down your team. It's really, really good at stabilising.
Yeah, you could flash back a Fire and Ice just to draw a card.
Yeah, it's totally possible. It all depends on whether or not he sees the writing on the wall that the Jace is going to die. Like when you think your opponent might have a Dreadbore or something. But here's a Vendilion Click in the main phase.
It's in response to the Field of Ruin, yeah.
Ah, okay. So this is a scary point because obviously once you do that, it taps you out. So Will wanted to actively use the mana off the fumarole before it died, so he was afraid of losing the mana, which means he might have a 3 mana spell in his hand, and he wants to make sure that 3 mana spell is up in his opponent's turn. But that's just my guess of why you do that. Otherwise, normally you just kind of go, yeah, whatever. I'll just have a land and not use the mana and be able to click in your end step. Or
why did Michael field the fumarole instead of the creeping tar pit?
So he's actively taking off mana sources, I assume. So it doesn't say, you don't ever know whether or not your opponent has a Torrential Gearhulk or something in their hand, and you go, I don't want you to have lots and lots of mana available by.
But why did he kill the 4/1 instead of the 3/2 unblockable?
I think it was just about a particular turn. He's thinking about this particular turn where he's like, I'm not going to die to a creeping tar pit, so I just wanted to deny you an untapped mana source. So that's just my guess, though. Here's Liliana, the Last Hope. So this is going to be a perfect example, probably, of Liliana not being a threat, but a threat that doesn't do much in control mirrors. Because you're often going +1, I'll discard a land, and then the second time you go, I don't have anything to discard. However, so discards a land versus Fiery Confluence. Fiery Confluence can no longer kill a Planeswalker, hence why it's discarded. But Michael is in the best position to abuse the Liliana Last Hope, Liliana of the Veil, because he has Search for Azcanta. So he's going to have an additional card every turn that he can discard if he wants to.
Yeah. Do you think the ultimate on JVP is threatening?
I think it is threatening. I think it's the kind of thing that you can mill your opponent out with, but you don't really want to do it on 9 loyalty. You want to do it on 10 and still have him around so that at a later point you can flash back another spell, like a Dig Through Time, 3 turns later, trigger the emblem, get 2 spells, trigger the emblem again.
Yeah, when's he going to go for Dig Through Time? He could have done it then, he could have tried, but...
I think he's going for the emblem. He's kind of going, I'm going to go up to 10, then I'm going to emblem this.
Another option would be just to say, look, I'm going to kill you in 6 turns with Creeping Tar Pit. You've got rid of your Fire Ice, your Electrolyze, your Fatal Push. He may not have that many answers left.
I like that play too. I also like firing up the Creeping Tar Pit regardless, simply because attacking Liliana the Veil is fun, and also it denies your opponent an activation of Search for Azcanta. So actually firing it up says discard a card in a way.
Yeah.
So here comes Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize was found off the Search for Azcanta, was it?
Yes.
From the Azcanta the Sunken
That's right.
He's found Azcanta. He's no longer searching for it. He's got it. Got there.
So this gives him some important information about what kind of plan to go for, I imagine.
Yeah. I think knowing one of the 2 cards, even if the 2 cards are, you don't mind Thoughtseizing one of them, you're not specifically scared of one particular thing. You just kind of want to use a Thoughtseize and just see what's up. Use the information.
Well, that's why Will didn't attack with the Tar Pit, potentially. He wanted to keep the Cryptic Command up.
Yeah, and probably the last 2 mana there are something else, like a Mana Leak or something. which is why he didn't want to. He's been representing 2 mana for a while, hasn't he? So I kind of think, oh, is this a mana leak or something? Do you just bounce the Azcanta Sunken Ruin rather than just draw a card?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's, it's a threat. All right, here we go. This is
a bomb.
This is basically we're proceeding to the end phase of the game, really, where the control decks now tap out and present so many threats that the opponent goes, okay, I can deal with one of these with the top deck, but if I can't deal with one, then if I can't deal with both of them, then it's basically game over for me.
Will needs to dig through time into something good.
Yeah, dig through time into something that destroys Kess, and Azcanta Sunken Ruin, and Liliana Last Hope. I don't know what that card is. It's probably something in War of the Spark.
I think another reason why Will didn't go the Creeping Tarpit route was that he probably would have lost the race to the Fumarole as well. That's an option.
That's true, yeah.
Michael would have had.
That's relevant. And, I mean, there's always the hidden mode of Fumarole, which is attack the Jace Prince Prodigy.
Yeah.
Jace, what is he? Telepath Unbound. He's no longer restricted.
So Michael was probably never worried about the ult for that reason, at least.
Yeah.
Could have attacked.
For sure. Which is a great example of why Jace Telepath Unbound largely does nothing until he's actually doing something, Like, he does nothing. Up, nothing. Oh, dig through time, I'm doing something, and it's really big.
Well, this Kess is huge. You can see why Will's going to the tank, because this Kess is so threatening. Some people think it's a replaceable win condition in Grixis, but I'm not so convinced about that.
Yeah, I think it's,
it's very
Grixis
powerful.
has so many good finishes. That's the point. Like, okay, we've got lots of finishes. We don't need to play, Kalitas. You go through all of the possible finishes they can play. There's so many good ones in those 3 colours. Kess just happens to be one of those that also glues the deck together because it's like a 6-drop that you play, and then you flash back a Dreadbore and you kill their Planeswalker, and then they have to answer the Kess, and you've got a mana leak up. Like, it's it's not in the same league as Kalitas. It's in a whole league of its own, right?
Not quite Jace the Mind Sculptor, but not too far off.
Exactly.
So there was no dig through time there
No,
when he was tapped out.
It probably means that card in hand is either
Mystic Confluence.
Yeah, like something that he's just going to snap off. So
it is.
It's literal Mystic Confluence. Yeah. Good call.
That's a difference in the decks as well. Michael isn't playing that card.
Yeah. Now this is a respond with counterspell off Kess, so that's pretty brutal. Now, this is a thing that sometimes it happens and you just get bitten by it, and then from that point on, you never get got by it ever. And that is the fact that Kess, whilst it can only be on your turn, it can be at any speed. So you can elect to cast a counter spell during your turn.
And you don't need to target that spell.
Nope, no target either. Fantastic. Yeah, Kess is a powerhouse.
So I would have liked to see, instead of that, holding up the Mystic Confluence, maybe dig through time for a land, so you still had Confluence after and another powerful card, I don't know. And maybe just jam Mystic Confluence main phase to deal with the Kess or the Liliana or something, or draw cards, I don't know. But we've got a Gurmag.
Draw 3 cards is just good, right? Yeah. So this Gurmag is a really, really nice threat. Gurmag coupled with Creeping Tarpit is going to be a nice clock. Really, really nice clock. The problem is Baleful Strix. Yeah. Now, what you can do with Jace Prince Prodigy is make Baleful Strix not have any power, therefore its Death Touch is no longer relevant. Yeah,
I've used that even in an aggro deck, where a jam JVP in aggro. It's really good just to run into Baleful Strixes all day.
Yeah.
But the question is, what's in the graveyard that can deal with the JVP or the Gurmag? Something good, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's probably some kind of a removal spell. Like, it's hard. There's some burn. Gurmag Angler is in these decks because it's very, very hard to actually answer. You need like a Dreadbore or a Terminator or something like a hard removal spell. Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Fire and Ice, they just don't cut it, do they? Now,
I suppose Liliana can just kill it.
Liliana can just kill it. Yep. We're missing the onboard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that old. Oh yes, that's right, Liliana. So
still Liliana 18 life apiece.
Still 18 life, right? Jockeying for position, the control mirror where you just keep jockeying back and forward, and
I can see the synergy between Kess and Liliana because you don't have to build up a hand because you've already got a virtual hand in the graveyard.
Yeah, for sure. And I like how Azcanta does not get activated. That's just such a power play sign, right? You go, look, I've got 4 threats on board and I've also got a fumarole down here. I don't need to be looking for cards. I need to just be finishing the game. And that's what Michael was tidily doing.
So are there any outs that Will's got? Let's look at some of his powerful cards. He's got True Name.
True Name Nemesis, I really, really like True Name Nemesis in Highlander. When it's at 1 point, I'm not saying I like it at 1 point, but I mean I like True Name Nemesis in Highlander because it just goes, let's just, I'm losing the game. I'm no longer losing the game.
And now we've got a fire for the Liliana to save the True Name if he ever gets it, but there's a mana drain as well.
Yeah.
The last 2 remaining mana.
So what's this in response? Mana
Mana
Leak or
Leak?
something?
Well,
it's true. This is cold shots all day. This is Drew cold shots Carter.
and he's got it just in time so the Liliana can't kill it.
Yeah, that's really
Lily of the
cool.
Vale.
Yep.
So this is a hope here, especially between Creeping Tar Pit and True Name. That's 6 damage a turn.
Yeah, and when your opponent's on 18, it's kind of like 666. Bam, bam, bam. Finish the game.
So should Michael start putting on some damage here? Yeah, Fumarole powering up.
Well, Fumarole can't get through that True Name.
No, true. Okay.
Yeah.
So at least just got 4 in the air. So he's looking for answers.
I think it's a main phase Azcanta because, when you're Azcanting, you're usually like trying to find things. When you're not doing it, you're usually applying pressure because you're using the mana.
Oh, he's got
Here's a Toxic Deluge.
exactly what he wanted.
Yep. This is the last hope for Will is handily gone. Dreams now proceed to be to the crush phase.
Yeah, I was thinking he could also try and get Tassiger and start drawing cards off of that, but then the Liliana's already on 2 loyalty, so he'll lose the Tass again.
Yeah, yep. I think the writing is definitely on the wall here.
So while you're a bit skeptical of Liliana of the Vale and Control decks, or Control Mirrors at least, she's presented quite a threat against any kind of single creature threat that Will would drop. A good answer to that.
For sure. I think the trick with Lily of the Vale is in the control deck or actually just in any deck, you want to be using both of its abilities, plus, minus, plus, minus. If you're not optimizing the plus, then it's often not a particularly good card.
Yeah.
But in mid-range, you're like, well, I'm empty-handed anyway. Or in aggro, I'm empty-handed anyway. Or in control, discarding lands is a cost. Like often you go, I'm just discarding lands. It's actually like a significant cost.
Yeah.
So the hidden mode, the +0 of Lily, which is not doing anything, you don't want to be actively playing to do +0 because that means the card probably shouldn't be in the deck. But this was a particular game where it was a really good example of how strong Lily of the Vale is when your opponent has a single threat, when your opponent has a single card in hand, and when you are able to generate 2 cards a turn, so you can always fuel the discard because of Search for Azcanta. And that's the game concluded.
Yeah, the search found exactly the lightning bolt, which was the perfect answer to the attacking Creeping Tar Pit. I think Will had started going on beatdown plan then. But
yeah, it's like, this is my only way. Let's go Creeping Tar Pit all the way. Nope.
I mean, Michael also had the Caracas to protect his Kess, and he had all the cards basically.
Yeah.
So let's think about sideboard plans. What are they going to do here?
So when you're in a control mirror, a lot of the time you are very, very tempted to keep in cards that generate value, right? So you go, okay, I'm going to keep in my Cryptic Command because it's a 2-for-1, right? You go, I counter that thing and draw a card. Super flexible. Bounces Azcanta Sunken Ruin. Like all of those kind of things are temptations to keep those cards in. However, the cards are bad. Like, I don't think anyone who, has played a control mirror before has... not anyone. I think everyone who's played a control mirror before, who has had Cryptic Command in their hand and had it countered by a Pyroblast, a Mana Leak, any of these kinds of things, you Cryptic their thing, and then they remand their thing countering your cryptic because you only had one target. Then they replay the thing again, and you're like, but I tapped out all four. I should win. No, it's bad. It's a very, very bad card in Control Mirrors.
But Mystic Confluence, you think it has the power to survive, though?
Mystic Confluence is like your last card. So basically, if you need to put in lots of cards, so let's say you've got Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast, and a single Hydro Blast effect sometimes, depending on the type of configuration of your opponent. Like if they've got Chandra, it's a really, really good answer to that. Duress, and you've got all of these other cool cards that you're bringing in. If you have enough cards to bring in and enough cards to bring out, then you just keep the Mystic Confluence in there, because it's an end of turn, draw 3 cards, they choose to counter it, you untap, you play your threat. It's just a bait spell. Or they don't counter it, you draw 3 cards. If you have more cards, like you've got Direfleet Daredevil, you've got enough of these cards, even Nihil Spellbomb, that Spellbomb is surprisingly good in Control Mirrors at preventing Tasigur and Gurmag Angler coming down quickly, preventing Snapcaster Mage being used effectively, and Kess. It's these decks use the graveyard a lot. Even bringing in that is better. Oh,
here we go.
Hand. Yep. So these are the cards coming out.
Mana Leak.
Mana Leak and some other cards.
Do we know land?
We got cheap interaction. And there's a Nihil Spellbomb, exactly what we were saying before.
Yeah, lots of cards from Michael.
Yeah, so those cards are just better. But if you don't have enough cards to bring in, you leave the Mystic Confluence in.
I wonder if Michael brought in the Hydro Blast, well, Blue Elemental Blast and Hydro Blast. It looks like he may have.
Yeah, so I often, in this mirror, I bring in one Hydro Blast.
I do the same.
But sometimes, it depends on your experience in the matchup. Sometimes you've played so many games where both of the Bebs are so good because they stop a Colligan's Command and then they destroy a Chandra, and you're like, oh, I'm never going to leave home without putting both of these in. Yeah, counter a Kess. And then there's other games where you draw both of the Bebs, or even just one Beb, and your opponent leads on Duress. And you go, well, I can't Beb that, and they take your other card. You're stuck with this Beb, they know that that's in your hand, they just play around it for the rest of the game, they don't ever expose their card, then they finally expose a card to it, and you're like, I guess I play it, but I know that you know that I've got it, and they follow up and they play Chandra, and you go, what? So, it depends on whether you've been burnt by it or not. I've been burnt by bringing in 2 Bebs so many times that I bring in a single one.
You see them both in your opening hand.
Yeah. Oh, it's so painful.
Yeah.
And even just seeing one in your opening hand, it's just, I don't want it. I want it. Why is this not, another card? Why is this not a Duress? Why is this not a Collective Brutality? And then finally, you're just looking for times to use it. Like, please, I need to use this. It's not like Pyroblast and, Rebs. Rebs are basically literally always relevant. And same in Legacy and Vintage, because they hit preordains. They hit literally anything. When your opponent is playing around, oh, yep, I've thought seized you, and I'm going to leave the Reb in there. And you go, well, then they go, oh, preordain. And you go, well, you know that I've got it. I know that you know that I've got it. And you're just trying to bait me, so I'll just take the bait and I'll just Reb it. And then they try and follow up with something in Mana Leaker. This is just the nature of things. And Mana Leaker is another good example of why Mystic Confluence is bad, and why I said it's just a draw 3. End of turn, 5 mana, draw 3, bait them to counter it. Because you often sideboard Mana Leak out in this matchup, and that's just Mana Leak on steroids. Counter for 3 is not great.
No, especially when the game goes very long. So Michael's got Young Pyromancer he's bringing in, whereas Will's got Glenalandra Archmage. They're kind of the bombs. And also, Will's going to get a bit stronger here, because while Michael had the 2-hand hate cards, like Inquisition and Thoughtseize in the main deck, Will had all 3 Duress, Inquisition, Thoughtseize in the sideboard, so he'll bring all them in.
Yeah, this is the old value train principle, right? So, when we were working on this kind of value train aspect, we often put the Duress, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, the DITs, into the board and just focus your main deck on just max value. Just focus on basically being a control element, 2-for-1 deck. You're like, I think we counted something like 17 cards that generate value in the main deck, which is half of your spells. And so the hand has a Duress in it.
And a Nihil Spellbomb.
Nice.
And a Tasigur, I believe.
And then in the sideboard, you bring in the cards that are efficient answers like Thoughtseize, because that way you don't lose to combo. So, leading on, what do you lead on? Thoughtseize, or do you lead on Nihil Spellbomb? Because for me, I lead on Nihil Spellbomb turn 1,
Yeah.
because nothing is scary turn 2.
No.
Like, turn 2, whatever.
Only Young Pyromancer.
Yeah.
But even, yeah.
Yeah. At least that's on the other side. And also, Search Raz Canter can be Pyroblasted, and, you know, like, these kind of things. And if you wait for one turn, the Thoughtseize gets more value, because you see one more card. So I often go, like, if I had this choice, I'd go Nihil Spellbomb turn 1, turn 2 Thoughtseize with a tapped land or a mana up, is one option.
Mm.
The way you get burnt by that is you see 2 3-mana Planeswalkers. You go, I waited on this. Oh wait, I saw 2 3-mana Planeswalkers. And then they just jam the other one.
I think Michael also, well, he wanted to jam Search on turn 2.
Yeah. Okay, this makes total sense. If he's got Search Raz Canter and he's just gonna jam it on turn 2, makes total sense.
And I think Michael wanted to fill his bin for the Tasigur as well, and the Search.
Yep.
So you've got to time the Search and the Tasigur correctly, otherwise you miss out on the flip. So you've got to flip it and then drop the TAS.
So true. So true. So sometimes, you know, you live in fear as a control deck. You go, I Thoughtseized you, and now I can tap out and do this thing, and then you just hope they didn't draw like an Ashiok, and you go, Well, instead, Will has drawn 2 lands. Lands are often very, very good in the control mirror.
The force there, not the business spell. So what is he holding up? Spell pit? No, not.
Oh yeah. So it's
it must
so
be
tempting
Hydroblast or something.
Yeah, it's so tempting to. Yeah, there's the beb. That's a scary thought. If your opponent took your Force of Will, and they had 1 mana up, and they passed the turn, and they just didn't even bat an eyelid, didn't even hesitate about your Chandra, do you still play it or
no?
not? I don't play it either. I think I just wait to turn 6 where I've got a Mana Leak or something, you know, counterspell. We say Mana Leak interchangeably, just 2 mana counterspell, right?
Yeah. Now, interestingly, Michael's stuck on mana here.
This is interesting. Playing the Nihil Spellbomb, tapping the black source, meaning that you telegraph Reb.
Yes, because you can't get the card off the Nihil Spellbomb.
So he's like, I'm not afraid of exiling your graveyard now to prevent Tasigur. But what it does is just say, I've got red, right?
Yeah. He was only facing a top deck there.
It's a narrow window. Sometimes it is totally correct to play the play that just gives your opponent information or whatever, and just go, I need to do this.
I wonder if we see a Tasigur here just jamming it.
Search Raz Canter flipping is actually really, really relevant, because missing all the land drops is rough, and actually having access to another land, great.
Yeah, massive.
Oh, there he is. Did you know he had Tasigur in hand?
Yeah, he had it in his opening hand.
All right, I just thought you were psychic from all the other ones that you just assumed.
I played so many mirrors up. No. What about Fumarole here? Could he? He can't attack this turn now. Well, he kind of just race. He's got because he's all on mono lands in a way. Well, he's pondered now, so he's into some gas. There's a chance that Michael doesn't have a counterspell here, although you think he might have a Pyroblast.
Yeah, it just felt like Pyroblast when you see the Volk up and tapping the black source.
Ooh,
but it could be an elaborate bluff. This gets around Pyroblast.
Oh, he's got Drain.
Brutal.
The absolute best counterspell, especially for this huge delve threat.
7 mana.
And you can use it with the Tasigur as well. Or the Search.
Spell Snare.
Snare.
Good. That was great. I love it. So here comes our 5/5 to deal with a 4/5.
Would you rather have a Chandra or a Gurmag here? Probably.
That's hard.
Probably the Gurmag, because the Chandra just can't kill the Tasigur, can it?
Yeah, you're right. Gurmag is way better.
So you can start doing 9
There's
damage
the Pyroblast. Yeah, the Pyroblast on the far right.
So Will has a chance here.
Yeah. Do you not block because you're just like, well, my clock's fast, and I'm not going to get.
Oh, there's a whiff as well.
Wow. Michael's being punished.
And Michael's punished for being a little bit greedy with the Nihil Spellbomb. He didn't pop it off early to stop any delve. He was keeping it to stop a Snapcaster or a Kess or whatever. Yeah. But often if I see 4 cards or something, I just get rid of it.
Yeah, you just go, I'm just going to canter it because I can't afford an early game Tasigur or an early game Gurmag. Or...
I mean, he didn't have much mana to work with as well, so that's fair enough.
Yeah, and he had not many choices.
And he had to use his black to cast, like discard spells and TAS, but...
True.
But here he's losing a race here. Oh, why didn't you attack with the Fumarole as well? Oh, because he wants to hold up the Cryptic Command? He doesn't have 3 blue.
Yeah, I think that's a Fumarole attack. It should definitely be a Fumarole attack. But then again, no, you just because your opponent has clearly got Pyroblast, right? You're thinking they got Pyroblast because of that previous play that they did.
But you got to get rid of it at some point anyway.
Mm.
He must have something to hold on. What has he got?
So this is a Snapcaster Mage main phase with an Inquisition of Kozilek in the graveyard, but that's about it.
Alright, so he wanted to hold up Counterspell rather than attack with Fumarole.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
I think I attack with Fumarole because I just want to win the race. And he's only got 3 mana. There's nothing scary he's going to
the
cast.
Pyroblast is going to kill the Fumarole, right?
Yeah, right.
That's just
If you
painful.
got the read on it.
Yeah.
Did he... Alright. He's got True Name in his hand.
He telegraphed Pyroblast, but yeah, his True Name changes everything. Woof. We're just talking about, True Name being just a very, very strong 1 point, one of the best conversion rates for a 1 point card.
And Control just gets it too easy, too cheaply here.
Oh,
I think it's just here. You cannot attack with anything on the ground.
Every time I build a control deck, I'm just like, okay, so Wandering Fumarole, True Name Nemesis, and what are my other 59 cards? Let's see. It's just a no-brainer. This card is so good at shoring up your your weaknesses, and also applying pressure when you shouldn't otherwise be allowed to.
Will's got the 3rd island here for Cryptic Command. He's thinking, how do I use it?
Yeah, he has to shock to do it, though, so that's not irrelevant when they've got True Name Nemesis out.
Yeah.
Because he's on 7, does he go to 5? It's basically Time Walk, Like you give your opponent one additional turn.
Well, you can tap down the True Name, you can bounce the task if you want to let him untap.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Why don't you just tap the True Name, bounce task right now, get him for 5, put him on 1, and then he's within range of fire or Electrolyze or something.
That's...
Well, and Fumarole as well. Fumarole if he wants to double attack.
That's actually really, really cool. So your opponent's tapped out. They've got a Pyroblast in hand because of the read you had earlier. You play... You go to 5. You Cryptic tap their team and bounce the Tasigur. You attack with that for 5. They go to 1.
He cracks you back.
The next turn they can't deploy both or they can deploy Tasigur. They've got 3 cards in the graveyard. So they can deploy Tasigur and True Name, but they can't attack you because you will be able to kill them. So it changes the dynamic of the game.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Whereas Will's just kind of on a 2-turn clock here that he can't do much about.
Yeah, and when you know that they've got Pyroblast because of the way that they sequenced, that Cryptic Command is just... Oof.
And he didn't run it out there to stop the damage. So what's he doing in a turn? He wants the card off of it or something? Let's see if you're right. Yeah, I saw the red.
Yeah.
Oh, K Command.
Oh, 2
just
damage.
for the 2 damage. Okay, so
wow,
well done, Michael.
Nice.
I think Michael still would have won even if Will took my line because he could have cracked back with the 3+2 out of the K Command.
Yeah, that's right. The shock land there is really, really relevant. That was really, really sweet, and it was interesting to see Michael playing through the land screw and then Will playing on different axes, like almost a tempo-esque game with the Gurmag Angler. So really, really sweet match. That was round 3, so all of our coverage begins from round 3 on Eternal Weekends. And next up, we'll be here with round 4, and we'll see which players come up. It is not a control mirror, I know that much.
See you guys.